2 days later, just when you thought you could finally stop accidentally locking eyes with John Jungkook in the hallway, life decided to ruin your day all over again. You were halfway into your history class when your teacher clapped her hands and said cheerfully, "Alright, class, time for your group projects. This one is on the European Industrial Revolution. Big chunk of your final grade, so I'll be assigning partners to make sure things are fair." Your heart immediately sank. You hated the sound of random pairs. It never ended well. You mumbled under your breath, "I hope my luck support me this time." She started calling names: Sojin and Mira, Taemin and Jie, Sunho and Yara. You felt yourself relax just a little until Wyan and John Jungkook. You sighed, not even surprised that the luck once again betrayed you. You turned your head, and of course, he was already looking at you, arms folded, eyebrows raised, that stupid little half smile on his face like the universe just handed him a punchline. He then waved at you a little while you rolled your eyes and looked in front of you. "This is all what I needed. Great." Mina was looking at you and then she looked at Jungkook. In the past few weeks, he has changed a lot. After school, you found yourself waiting at the library, tapping your pen against your open notebook. He was late, of course, he was late. What can you expect from him? You had already picked up a table near the window, taken out your laptop, spread out your sticky notes like a battlefield, and now your enemy/project partner was MIA. Just when you were about to text him something mildly threatening, he walked in, nonchalant, tossing a bag of chips in the air. "You're late." You snapped. He plopped down in the chair across from you. "Only 10 minutes. I didn't know you ran on military time." You gave him a death glare. "Relax, Miss Perfect. I brought notes," he says, sliding a notebook toward you. You grabbed it, already expecting some chicken scratch mess of incomplete ideas, but as you flipped through the pages, you blinked. The notes were actually neat, like really neat, color coded, bullet points, proper headings. There were even doodles in the margins, a tiny spinning wheel next to the word factories. You narrowed your eyes. "Okay, who did this for you?" He raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" "There's no way you did this. Your usual homework looks like it was written during an earthquake." Jungkook scoffed. "Wow, hurtful. Maybe I have hidden talents." "You have many things, Jungkook. Talents have yet to be proven." He leaned forward with a lazy grin. "Admit it, you're impressed." "Never expect that from me. I'm suspicious." You corrected him while his face dropped a little as he realized you still didn't forgive him completely. "Alright," you sighed. "Let's get this over with. We need to finish the timeline and divide the topics. I'll do inventions and labor laws. I'll take child labor and factory life," he said, already flipping open his own book. You raised an eyebrow. "Really? That sounds a bit heavy for someone who once submitted a blank essay with the words 'I forgot' written in the center." "Yeah, well," he muttered, scratching the back of his neck. "I kinda owe you. Might as well try not to screw this up too." He paused. Something in the way he said it, quiet, not cocky, made you look at him for a second longer than necessary. You didn't respond to that, just opened your laptop and started typing. For the next 2 hours, you worked side by side. The sarcasm didn't disappear completely. He still made dumb jokes, and you still rolled your eyes, but it felt tolerable, like maybe this project wouldn't be a total disaster. You weren't friends, not even close, but for the first time in a long time, you weren't exactly enemies either, and that was something. It had been a week since you got paired with Jungkook John for the history project, and honestly, you hated to admit it, but it wasn't a complete disaster. He actually showed up, took notes, contributed ideas that weren't entirely ridiculous. Sometimes, when he wasn't making sarcastic comments or spinning pens between his fingers like a fidget machine, he even looked focused. But things still felt weird, different, and you didn't quite know why. You were walking down the second floor corridor after class when you paused near the open window. Your eyes drifted toward the basketball court below, where a group of students were playing their usual after school game, and standing behind the bleachers out of bounds and out of place was Jungkook. Alone, hands in his pockets, his bag still slung over one shoulder like he hadn't planned to stay. He wasn't cheering, wasn't smiling, just watching. You didn't need anyone to explain it. Basketball was his life. He had been suspended from the team for a full month after admitting to the teacher what he did to your presentation. The coach had been furious, everyone was shocked, and though no one dared to say it out loud, people looked at him differently now. He had taken the fall voluntarily. You stayed there a little longer, watching him before quietly walking away. You didn't know what to feel. The cafeteria buzzed with typical noise, clattering trays, loud conversations, and groups huddled over shared fries and notes. You sat across from Jungkook, both of you hunched over your history binder, trying to finalize the second part of the project. You were halfway through explaining a timeline structure when you suddenly looked up. Why did you do it? He blinked. What? Why did you tell the truth to the teacher about everything? He sat back slightly in his chair, face unreadable for a moment. Then his voice came low and honest. If I had just, I don't know, hidden your notes or messed with your locker or stolen your hair tie and blamed it on the janitor or something stupid like that, I might have never owned up to it. You stayed quiet watching him. But your presentation, he went on, that was your thing. You worked so hard for it. It wasn't just a grade, it was you. Your heart gave a little jolt. He looked at his hands, and for the first time it felt like I did something even I couldn't justify. You stared at him, and for the first time he wasn't just Jungkook the slacker or Jungkook the arrogant prankster. He was just a boy sitting across from you, a little ashamed, a little tired, and maybe trying. Something inside you softened. You didn't say anything right away, but your pen stilled in your hand, and from that moment, something between you shifted. It was subtle, but it was there. Mina hadn't said a word to you since the truth came out. She never apologized, never confronted you, but you often caught her staring at lunch in the hallway, even during classes. Her smile was gone now, so was that fake politeness she used to wear like a badge. You noticed her sitting alone more often. You also noticed how she and Jungkook barely talked anymore. He stopped walking her to class. She stopped waiting for him at the gates. The silence between them was louder. That day in the cafeteria, as you got up to throw away your tray, you passed Mina's table. She didn't say anything, but her eyes followed you. And though her expression didn't change, there was something sharp in her stare, jealousy, regret, guilt. You didn't know, and honestly, you weren't sure you cared. The school's annual history camp wasn't supposed to be anything special, a boring 2-day trip in the middle of nowhere with tents, mosquitoes, and way too much hiking. But somehow it turned into something else, something unforgettable. You were halfway through unloading gear from the bus when the teacher cleared her throat and read out the final group list. You all be in pairs for dance. Please stay with your assigned partners from the project. That way we don't have to start WW3 over sharing toothpaste. You turn your head slowly to look at him. He was already staring at you, one brow arched in a mixture of amusement and disbelief. Of course it's you. You muttered under your breath. Jungkook gave a helpless shrug. I swear I'm not even doing this on purpose anymore. You narrowed your eyes. Maybe you are cursed. He smiled, or maybe we're just destined to suffer together. You snorted and shook your head, slinging your backpack higher on your shoulder. Fine, just don't hog the blanket or talk in your sleep. No promises, he said, leaning in slightly with that lazy grin he wore way too often. Also, if you snore, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. You rolled your eyes, but you felt it, that small twitch at the corner of your lips. You bit the inside of your cheek to stop it, but it was too late. You smiled. It wasn't forced, it wasn't sarcastic, it just happened. Jungkook blinked. You quickly looked away, pretending to dig through your bag. That wasn't for you, by the way. Sure, he said, his tone light, but his eyes lingered on you for a second longer than they should have. Later that evening, the campgrounds were surprisingly pretty. Sunsets stretched over the hills in golden streaks. The air smelled like pine and earth, and for once, your school felt miles away. You were struggling with the tent poles, hands shaking from the effort and the drop in temperature. Okay, I swear this pole is cursed. You muttered, trying to shove it into the loop again. Here, let me. Came a familiar voice. You turned to see Jungkook already crouched beside you, sleeves rolled up, dark hair tousled from the hike. He took the pole gently from your hand, fixed the angle, and slid it in with ease. You blinked. How do you? He gave you a small, smug smile. Turns out I'm good at more than just basketball and chaos. You scoffed, debatable. But when you looked down, you realized your hands were still shaking. You hadn't eaten properly. You were cold and tired. Without a word, Jungkook took off his hoodie and tossed it over your shoulders. You stared at him. You don't have to, I know. He said quietly. For a moment, neither of you said anything. Then you whispered, Thank you. He just nodded and started hammering the stakes into the dirt. The fire crackled and the sky turned navy. The stars blinked above like scattered salt. Everyone sat in uneven circles, roasting marshmallows, laughing, trading ghost stories. You were sitting on a log, arms crossed, eyes lost in the flame. Then you felt someone sit beside you. You didn't look at him. You're really quiet, he said after a minute. Just tired. You murmured. He glanced at you. From carrying the dream or from pretending you still hate me? You turned to look at him. I don't hate you. His brows rose. Not anymore. You added softly. A slow smile crept across his face. Good to know. He handed you a marshmallow on a stick. Peace offering. You took it. Still warm, like my personality, he said seriously while you snorted. The campfire had long burned down into glowing embers when you both climbed into your tent for the night. The world outside had fallen silent, save for the occasional crickets and the distant rustle of leaves. Inside, the two of you lay zipped into your sleeping bags, facing away at first. It was quiet until you whispered, Jungkook? Came his muffled voice in the dark. You hesitated. Do you miss basketball? There was a pause before he answered. His voice was soft, more than I expected. It was like the one thing I was always good at, the one place I didn't mess up. You turned slightly toward him. Your voice was low. You are good at other things too. Like what? He asked, almost amused. You thought for a second. You are weirdly good at history and setting up tents, and I guess you're not the worst person I've ever met. There was a beat of silence. You're not so bad either. Even when you glare like I killed your cat, you couldn't help the small laugh that escaped. Shut up. He chuckled under his breath. Okay. But then, as the quiet settled again, you found yourself turning fully to face him in the dimness. Can I ask you something else? Yeah, you bit your lip. Why did you tell the truth? I mean, about the presentation? He let out a long breath. I don't know, maybe I did it because I felt bad. You didn't speak, so he continued. You and I, we have never exactly been on the same team, but when I saw your face that day, when everything glitched, and then later when your dad was yelling at you outside the school, he paused. I don't know, it just hit me. I didn't just mess with the file, I messed with you. Your breath caught just a little. Jungkook didn't notice. He went on quietly. I never meant to go that far. I just wanted to win one stupid round, but it didn't feel like a win at all. You looked at the ceiling of the tent, bare nylon glowing faintly from the moonlight. Then softly you spoke again. He does that a lot. Jungkook turned his head. Your dad? You nodded. The lump in your throat suddenly tightened. He loves me. I know he does, but he loves success more. Grades, trophies, winning. You laughed bitterly. You think I was born to be a resume, not a person. Jungkook stayed quiet, listening. You swallowed. I try so hard just to make him proud, but sometimes he says things that you exhale. If my mom were alive, maybe she'd understand. Maybe she'd have noticed when I cry alone in my room. Maybe she had hugged me. Your voice cracked. It was so hard to open about your life. You never shared these things with anyone, but don't know why you were doing with him. I miss having someone to hug me. For a second there was no sound but your soft broken breaths. You turned your face into your sleeping bag trying to hide the tears, but then you felt movement, a small shift. And suddenly a hand, warm and tentative, gently touched yours under the blanket. You looked at him. Jungkook wasn't smirking, wasn't teasing. His expression was soft, serious, like he saw you, really saw you for the first time. I know, I'm the last person you expected comfort from, but I'm here. You blinked, stunned, and somehow that made you cry harder. Not loudly, not messily, just silent tears that slipped down your cheeks in the dark. You didn't say thank you, he didn't ask for it, but that night in a tent under stars and silence, something shifted for good because you had never let anyone in that, and Jungkook, he stayed. The next day, the first one to approach you at breakfast wasn't Jungkook, it was Mina. You froze when you saw her walking toward your table, clutching a coffee cup like a peace offering. Hey, she said awkwardly, stopping just short of where you sat. Can I talk to you? You nodded slowly and followed her a few steps away. She began looking everywhere but at you. I wanted to say I'm sorry for everything, the copying, the sabotage, acting like you were the bad guy when I knew I wasn't completely innocent. You folded your arms. Why now? Because I saw how you still got your grades back the honest way, and how Jungkook told the truth, even when it screwed him over. You were quiet, and also, she added softly, I saw how he looked at you. That's not someone trying to win a game anymore. You blinked. Already you were avoiding to look at him after last night's breakdown, and everyone already think you have become more than friends. We are not. She smiled a little. Yeah, I know. Then she looked away. I apologized to him too. We are not really friends anymore, but I think we are both okay with that. You didn't say anything, but you appreciated the honesty. Anyway, she muttered awkwardly, holding out the coffee. This is yours. Peace? You took it. Peace, you said quietly. You had returned home from the school camp late Sunday evening, exhausted but strangely light. Your father was waiting for you in the living room, his posture stiff like always, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. You assumed it would be a check-in, a question about grades, attendance, test scores. But instead, when he finally looked at you, something in his eyes cracked. He stood up slowly and walked toward you. Why can we talk? You froze. That wasn't how these conversations usually started. You nodded carefully and followed him to the dining table. He sat down, hands clasped, like he had been preparing for this moment longer than he admitted. I've made mistakes. He began struggling with each word. I thought I was being a good father by pushing you, by telling you to aim higher, be better, win more, because I wanted you to have everything in life I couldn't give your mother. You stared at him, your chest felt tight. I told myself I was doing it for you, but somewhere along the way, he paused, blinking rapidly. I think I forgot to ask what you wanted. A silence hung between you. Then he looked up, his eyes were shimmering. That day when I yelled at you outside the school and I saw your face, I realized how blind I have been. He broke, tears slipped from your father's eyes. Your strong, always put together, impossible to please father, crying in front of you like a man who was finally crumbling under the weight of his own expectations. Appa, I'm so sorry, he whispered, his voice was shaking. I heard you. I didn't mean to. I didn't know how much until now. You blinked fast, your own tears following. Then, without thinking, you stepped forward and wrapped your arms around him. And for the first time in years, he hugged you back. No success, no achievements, no lectures. Just a father, just a daughter, just love. A few nights later, you found yourself walking beside Jungkook again, this time through the quiet path behind your neighborhood park. The breeze was gentle, the sky starry, and the hum of insects surrounded you like a soft lullaby. Neither of you said much at first, but there was a calm between you now, a comfort. I heard your dad apologized. Jungkook said, looking at you sideways. You nodded. Yeah, it was unexpected but good. I think it helped us both. He gave a little smile, told you you're not invisible. You bumped your shoulder into his lightly. Yeah, don't let it go to your head. He laughed, and the sound made something warm bloom in your chest. Then he stopped walking. You turned. What? I've been meaning to say this, he said, suddenly serious. Back then, I wasn't just being a jerk. I think I was trying to hide how much I actually liked you. Your heart skipped. I was dumb and scared and proud and completely stupid. You swallowed, your voice softer. You are still a little stupid. He grinned. Fair. There was a pause, then you stepped closer. You know, you whispered, I think I like this version of you, the one who doesn't hide behind sarcasm. I like this version of you too, he said, voice low. You didn't mean to get so close, but neither of you moved away. And when he leaned in, slow, uncertain but hoping, you met him halfway. The kiss was gentle, warm, like the start of something that had been waiting quietly for the right time to bloom. And around you the night glowed with fireflies.